Okay, so I should take off my hat. David, I'm recording. Explain why you feel that AR and VR for toys and games is actually a positive. This is you can introduce yourself too.
Oh, hi, I'm David WIlliamson. AR and VR toys and games is a huge positive and a major step in the right direction. Um, Kids will use digital content. Um, that's like that is a given at this stage of kind of technology and development. However, if we can move them towards digital content kind of intermarried to physical play, then that's a huge step in the right direction. They're still using physical interaction and activity, as opposed to purely kind of the one-way absorptive short form of content that's so popular with social media and other brands.
But so what do you for you uh, gamification of digitization uh, is basically, as you mentioned, it's crack. It's an addictive.
Yeah, it's completely addictive. Like all apps that are built are designed. I say all apps now. All social apps or mini games or small form, like all of it favors short form content, which is designed to gain the maximum number of interactions you can possibly get for it's an attention game, and the more attention it can get focused for the greater period of time,
Mm.
the more effective the content is. Its goal isn't like it's completely amoral. Its goal isn't to teach or do anything. Mostly, there are good examples when it's done differently, but the goal isn't to do anything other than gain attention. Um, with like toys and play, the goal is to help the child develop in some way or to interact with people some way to create a kind of platform for interaction. Uh, and if we can bring like children's consumption kind of content consumption habit back to that, that's a net gain for children and adults and just everybody.
So, how do you see a successful integration relationship between digital content and the physical toys and games? How do you balance that? What is the purpose uh, for a creator, an AR creator like yourself, who's really specialized in creating amazing content? How do you see that balance working with kids and physical toys and augmented reality?
The so the child should have to physical. I mean, there should be physical elements of exploration. The same way we explore a normal toy, we maybe do that by moving our hands around. You take like an action figure, you move its arms, or with a game, you might pick up the pieces, and there's a physicality to it.
Mm.
Um, with digital content, like controllers aren't so much a problem because you're still doing something, but generally there's a swipe of the screen. There's very little physicality to it. So a toy brings some kind of posable kind of what do you call it, mechanical understanding of their own bodies. They help children to like we play with toys to learn how things shapes and blocks fit together. That's a kind of mechanical intelligence and development that goes on. So it brings back that element. So you've got a physicality of a toy or a game. Um, you then have the coolness of digital content. It can still flash its lights at you. Um, it can still do stuff. It can be interactive in a way that only a game can. Children love interactive. Like I mean, they really love interactive stuff. If it's a really good opportunity for education elements within it, you can always educate somebody. Like digital content, Wikipedia is a master of education.
Mm.
Um, the internet has huge educational potentials. With that kind of with that in mind, you can make toys that have so much potential for education as well as play.
Mm.
So you're helping to further develop children in ways that couldn't be done before, and it kind of subverts their desire to be absorbed into content and the short form, the YouTube, and takes it into a kind of more positive, interactive fashion where they can also be educated.
Mm. And how do you think it enhances gameplay?
Well, this is kind of a big question. It doesn't always enhance gameplay. Well, there's two sides to it. One, it can enhance gameplay by making a game more interactive. It can give that feedback and explosion. It can put special effects to a game. And that's cool. And in the short term, it's a really good thing. You can use it to show off games, use it to show off gameplay. That doesn't necessarily mechanically help. So, and this is where the second part of it becomes really important. If you're going to incorporate AR and digital into a game, it has to do something that the person couldn't do just by rolling some dice or with pieces. And one of the main things it can do is computation. Well, it can do two things. It can do computation and it can do interaction. So computation is like if you've got a complicated system, like, I mean, a really complicated system, a computer can solve you from A to Z really well. So maybe you'd have to look up a few pages in a rule book or something that would take you out of the game. You can use the computer, you can use a digital element to keep the person playing the game without it becoming just, complicated arithmetic doesn't become a problem. Instead of having to work out and resolve like trigonometry to shoot something, the computer could do that for you. You could say, I want this to shoot that. Can it do it? And the computer could solve that problem.
What kind of games are we talking about in this instance?
Like sort of tabletop games. So you had, I don't know, a range finding element, like kind of Angry Birds thing going on. You could use, instead of you having to physically solve the trigonometry, because like you want people to be educated with their games, but I don't want to solve trig every time I want to, have somebody fire a catapult and try and hit the enemy troops. It can solve that for you. If I've got like a complex chart of like effects that can happen, you wanted to make a game that has, when I do something, there's 100 different potential effects. I don't want to roll a D100 and then look through a book for like 5 minutes to find out what it is going to happen and what mods I could do. I want simple like UI improvements. So I can say, okay, my options are this: auto generate me a random number, auto tell me what's going to happen, give me some options for things that I can do with troops that are there. Like your management sims can be improved by it. And it can generally make, in these senses, it can make a game with complex systems, like a kind of American bigger style game. It can streamline it and make it quicker. You could reduce like your top heavy 6-hour games and make them into like a 3-hour tabletop play. Yeah.